Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Larry here. I have purchased another very highly rated guitar. And this is coming from Leo James. This is I think it was the last one they had in stock. And it's supposed to be a Leo Jaymz ST Pro Strat-shaped guitar. Basically, this one's supposed to be humbucker, single, roasted maple neck, coil split, 2-point tremolo system with the big block under it. It's supposed to have a lot of that stuff, and well, actually, it's supposed to have all that stuff. When I ordered this, I went back and I looked on the Amazon order page, and somebody had asked me, so exactly which one did you order? I said, hang on a second and I'll tell you. And you know when you go to Amazon and you've placed an order and you see the little link that says your order and then order details? Well, I clicked on that. What came up was not the exact same guitar. It was the same color, but different configuration. I said, wait a minute. They did not sell me the wrong guitar. I was getting ready to cancel the order. But then I looked at the little picture, little thumbnail in my actual order and clicked on it. And it came up and was the one that I had exactly ordered, which made me happy. Now, I went back to look for that same one out of curiosity, just to search for it again. And when I looked for it exactly as described, it said, not currently available. So I think I might have gotten the last one. But when more come out, let's find out if it's something that you would want to order for yourself. So here we go. I have not touched this. I just brought it up from the lobby. And, you know, had a Diet Coke and a smile. Let's get this thing open. Ooh, I didn't know they were going to send a nice Leo James gig bag. I actually like their gig bags. That's a surprise. However, a gig bag does not take the place of quality shipping packing. So let's just dispense with the wahoo and get rid of this stuff here and see what I got with my order. Sorry if I'm hitting. Yep, it looks like I am hitting the camera. And that's okay. It just brings you more into the experience. Before we look at the guitar, let's look in the pocket and see if we got any goodies. There are no goodies, and there are no goodies in the box. You know the goodies you typically get. Usually there's truss rod adjusters and that kind of thing. I do not see one yet. It seems unlikely that they would include it inside the gig bag. Gig bag looks pretty good, doesn't it? I like this kind of gig bag. You know? I've actually bought Leo James gig bags on their own to put on other guitars, just because they're quality. If you don't want to have a case, or you don't have room for a lot of cases, which is becoming my problem, then a quality gig bag becomes a good thing to have. So let's take a look. Ah, the shroud. Oh, look. Whammy, the whammy bar. And look, it's a bayonet style. Ooh, I'm already getting happier. And there's your 2 Allen wrenches. 3, actually. Why are there 3? One of them must be to elevate the tremolo posts, I'm thinking. Because that's generally a in-between size one. And the other one will be for the neck, the truss rod adjustment, and the other one will be for the bridge saddles. So let's get this out of the shroud and see what's happening. Get ready. Look at the headstock. Look at how nice and trim that is. Isn't that nice? and it certainly is roasted maple. This is supposed to be roasted maple fretboard. It'll have a violet burl face, is what it's supposed to have. I believe Leo Jaymz does all steel frets anyway. But let's keep going. Look at that. No pick guard. That is a nice burl top. You know, I'm moving it to see if the burl moves. Boy, it's kind of deceptive. I'm not sure I see any movement in the fiber, but you know what? Even if it's not real, it's beautiful. And for the money, $199, not including shipping. The other versions of this, any other color with the 2 humbuckers was $209. So I saved $10. Plus I had a little bit of credit with them anyway. I was able to put this on the Amazon 6-payment plan, no interest, which makes it really painless. So let's take a look at the initial quality. Again, looking for shipping damage. On the front, I don't see anything but nice. Boy, that neck is gorgeous. Look at that. Look at that roasted maple neck. I will ask again, how does Leo Jaymz do it? I just don't get it. That neck pocket is so tight. Look at that nice scooped neck joint. With that nice, interesting metal plate and no plastic under the metal plate. So they've been listening to their target audience. This is a big steel blade inside. I don't know that you can see that, but I certainly can. They tend to do that with the 2-point bayonet style tremolos. A nice big, I mean a big steel blade. That is awesome. All the plastic is still on the cavity covers. Let's see about these tuners. Nice tuners. Nice enclosed tuners. They are not the locking kind, and that's okay. Wow. With how nice Leo Jaymz guitars are, their initial quality, I mean, the guitar itself, you may say that it doesn't have resale value because it's Chinese, it's imported, all this other thing, but you can't get a guitar that nice from Fender or anybody. I mean, Ibanez, which is one of my favorite makes, probably could not match that for anywhere near the money. You know, but you guys will have different opinions. You'll have different, research results than I probably had. But if you know something I know, great. But I can tell you right now, this guitar out of the box, no damage. No, wait. Oh, I am wrong. Let me bring you down here. All right. Here we go. Can you see? Can you see what I see? Look right there. Don't know how well that is focusing. There's a crack. That's a crack. What I need to do now is find out if that crack is in the wood or just in the coating. If this is the last of its kind, boy, I would hate to have to return it for that reason. But I think it's just in the finish. I'm still thinking, for basically $200. For $200 with this much guitar that you get. You've got Alnico 5 pickups here. And I don't believe they are ceramic at all. No, these are Alnico 5. And according to the reviews I've seen on this already, they got pretty nice output in those pickups. A few weird things going on over here and there. Tape still left on it. But let's see what it feels like. Boy, I sure hope that we're still in the picture here. I'm going to bring it down a bit there. I hope everything's still visible. But now that we're close, give the strings a little stretch. Boy, those are pretty good sized steel frets, I'll tell you. Wow. Yeah, those are some honking frets. Look at that fingerboard, man. It is also roasted maple. The fretboard is roasted maple. All right. I'll probably speed this part of it up. I'm not sure what these strings are. They don't feel like the greatest ones in the world, but they seem pretty suitable, pretty okay. All right. So despite that one flaw that we found at the neck joint, everything else so far looks great. The knobs, the tone knob's a bit stiff, but that's kind of good. I like it to stay where it is so I don't hit it. Volume's a little less stiff. Nice though, heavy duty metal. Switch feels like pretty standard switch. The action on this thing, just like it is I'm going to say basically perfect. As far as my hand can reach. I gotta tell you, let's check the intonation. Wow. To me, that needs nothing. Not really anything. Wow. The A string could be a little bit too long. Maybe one full turn of the set screw to make the string a bit shorter, counterclockwise, to make it a bit shorter. They'll correct that. It's almost inaudible. It's so close, it almost doesn't even need it. Wow. Let's try putting the springs. The springs inside the tremolo are ringing like bells. So I'll mute those a little bit, but let's put our bayonet in. For that, oops. Oh yeah, do that. Whew. Just a quick old tap. Little love tap. No battle scar though, thank God. All right. Wow. Wow, that is a great tremolo. Look at those nice saddles. Wow, they're like, wow, they're unusual. What is up with the saddles? Are they brass or an alloy? The saddles are a strange color. They're not quite brass. They're not quite bronze color. They're not copper colored. They're certainly not steel colored. I don't know what they laminated. Yeah, there's a coating on them. Oh, that's really cool. I like that. Well, there's only one thing other than what we've already done to try and find out if our initial quality is as good as it has been, with the exception of the little crack right here. But that is to plug it in. So bear with me just a moment, and I'll do just that. Okay, well, I've gone ahead and plugged this in to my my Siva Boogie, my hot tone Siva Boogie 5-watt solid state little head over there. I'll show you. That one, same one as last video. That guy right there. And I've got my M-Wave Mini Universe reverb and effects pedal down there. I've also got a triple rec, a Wampler triple rec distortion in line with that, and we will be testing it with that on this guitar. Sorry, Marshall, I know you're sleeping back there. My Wampler. And again, the settings of the amp are a little bit wacky. They're set a little bit dark. Not a lot of bass in it. And here's the neck. Yeah, I got that amp set with all the mids scooped out of it. And yeah, it's noisy. It's noisy because you know why? Single coil. I gotta tell you, with that little amp set the way it is, I'm sacrificing a lot of sound right here. I'm gonna go over and tweak that. Give me a second. Let's see if that made any difference. I tweaked the EQ a little bit on the hot tone Siva Boogie, and I also tweaked it a little bit on the Wampler triple rec distortion pedal. They both have their own set of EQ controls. I expected a little more heat and a little more bite from that pickup, from that humbucker. Doesn't mean it's bad, it's just different. The fret ends, they're pretty typical Leo Jaymz fret ends. See, Firefly Company, their fret ends are generally ball-ended, and they're a dream. They're nothing. There's nothing to catch on. These here, Leo Jaymz, I think what they've done is they've gone from maximum surface availability all the way to the ends, so it's kind of so that the grind angle at the end of the fret is instead of it being sort of one of these 45-degree deals, it's a little closer to 90, So you get, if you're looking at the cross section of the fret, here's the fret wire, big giant fret wire, and here's the end of it. The slant is a little bit kind of straight up, and this semicircle of edge is palpable. But I think they do it to give you the maximum amount of usable surface area all the way to the end of the fret. Now, what that means is that the tiny corners, the little corners of each fret end, you could just take your fret file, if you've got one of those nice triangular fret files, or even a very thin rectangular one, the kind, and just nick those. You don't even have to work on them. Just go to that corner right there, just go, zing, and then feel it again. All you're doing is knocking off a needle point. You just got to touch it. If you do that all the way up and down, this thing would be absolutely fantastic. Really, though, what I'm feeling right now, I could live with. It's not that bad. It's not that bad at all. If Phil McKnight took out his hand nylon and went up and down there, he'd probably snag a couple of things along the way. Not everything, but there might be a couple that kind of stand out. But I mean, it's doable. You can ignore that. I will probably do something about it myself. So, I'm going to keep this guitar. But if you look at where it got machined out up here, it's real tight. Around the pickups, it's real tight cut. There's nothing blocking that. There's no frame. There's just wood, and it is cut to a razor exactness. So they must have used a really high power router to do that and moved very slowly. And you know, there's no tear out, and there are no chips at the edge of that poly or, you know, enamel or whatever it is. There are no chips in it. This pickup here, this humbucker, is mounted on a couple of pieces of, you know, that hard black rubber sponge and screwed right into the wood. I actually kind of like that. The ones that float on the frame, sure, those are great. Everybody's used to those. But this is more like that sort of like that Seymour Duncan Seth Lover sort of design, and it does screw right into the wood with a little bit of play in it. A little bit of play in it. I can push down on it. It would not be as easy probably to move that pickup closer or further from the strings. You could do it, you know, by turning the screw down there. But I think you are working with wood, so you'd be screwing into wood. You'd want to be very ginger about that if that's what you want to do. Right now, I think that's a pretty good distance, right? You're looking at about 4 millimeters at the neck, 3.5 in the middle, and maybe about 3 for the humbucker. But you know, they're all really straight. Although the tape is peeling off the back of the control cavity covers. Let's just take it right off of there. Whee! Oh, that's so much fun. Yeah, the other one came off on its own. Yeah, it'll go through, buff it a little bit. I am going to really scrutinize this finish for any other hairline cracks anywhere. Because if they're happening randomly in flat areas, I might be concerned then. But like I said, I couldn't get another one of these. I doubt they've got another one to replace it with. They'd probably want to exchange me for one with 2 humbuckers, which I didn't want. I've got a lot of 2 humbucker Strat style guitars. This one, though, it's kind of unique. It's its own thing with that either HSS or SSH, however you want to express it. And with the coil cutter and everything, I'm willing to forgive a few. Anyway, that is the initial review of this Leo Jaymz ST Pro roasted maple neck, mahogany, I think mahogany body, pretty sure, with a bird's eye maple top on it, with the dual point, 2-point tremolo with a big fat honking hippopotamus of steel blade behind it for a pretty good sustain. The pickups, well, that's up to the user. I have always had a habit of swapping out pickups, I may do it again. I don't know. I have to tweak my amp a bunch of different ways to find out if that's something I actually want to do. You guys ought to know by now that the only way I can really trust an output test, a sound test for any guitar that I review is going to be with my little Stage Right 15-watt tube amp there, and with all the EQ set at noon. So before I start doing that, let me bring you up to speed. What this guitar has had done to it thus far, leaving it stock, mind you, without changing out any of the parts for any other part. This is the exact guitar and all the parts that it came with. Nothing has been changed. What I have done, I have repolished the frets to get them very shiny. Well, they're pretty shiny. I have conditioned the fretboard with, let me think. Oh yeah, fretboard conditioner. And I took some lemon oil and I hit the back of the neck with that. Which, I'm not sure it really needed it, but it does give it a little extra touch of luxury, I have adjusted the pickup heights to be as close to the strings as I can get them without warbling the strings. I find with this neck that if you set it up completely straight, and it will set up, I mean, laser straight. When you do that, the natural physics of the guitar can cause it to have a little bit of extra fret buzz here and there. Now, I did not apply a fret rocker to these frets because I'm going on the assumption that they're very, very level. They seem very level in the playing. You kind of have to set it extremely low of action before you can, start feeling fret buzz. So I've got this action really, really quite low right now. See? And it's extremely playable. There's a thin profile C type neck. What else did I do? The pickups. These pickups were mounted, and are still mounted, on top of pieces, blocks of that springy kind of foam that they use in lieu of springs, metal springs. But the way they did it was kind of strange. I tried to loosen the, or I should say raise the pickups, especially the single coils. I started raising them, and I realized that, sure, they would come up, but then the black covers became loose and rattly. Like, why is that happening? And I realized that the way they had this set up, the tension beneath the pickup pushes the pickup upward, but it doesn't secure the cover. The cover is wherever it is, and it'll float. I'm not exactly sure why that was happening. One thing it could be is that the holes in the plastic where the mounting screws go through, those holes in this case were quote unquote threaded. You really can't thread thin plastic like that, but they were what you might call threaded, because when I turned the screws, it was snugly moving through that hole. So what I did was I took a drill bit and I widened it out. I knocked the quote-unquote thread out of the middle of the hole in the plastic of the cover, and also of the pickup bobbin underneath. So that now the screw passes right through both of those, and the threads don't grip anything until they find the wood. And it is mounted in wood. Well, you can tell, See the way that's mounted? That's right screwed to the wood, is what it is. So I left the foam where it was. So instead, what I did was I simply drilled through those holes as I just described, and I put a nice piece of spring under each, between the wood and the bobbin. So when the screw went through, it went through the cover, it went through the bobbin, and passed through the spring and then to the wood. And I did that at all 4 points, 2 on each fret. And now the covers stay snug. They don't move at all, because the covers are also being compressed. See? Anyway, common sense physics. So I eliminated that one problem by doing that, and technically didn't have to remove anything to do it. Just had to drill a hole a little bit wider. That was it. The humbucker seems to be pretty well seated. I didn't mess with that. That's not doing anything that I can't live with. So I left that alone. That is also suspended by a piece of foam underneath. But that foam actually keeps that pickup from rocking. You know how the ones that are mounted in the plastic, bracket, they can rock a little? Well, this one will rock, but it's a springy kind of rock, and it kind of stays flat for the most part. So it's doing something I like. I'm just going to leave it alone. I did drop the height of the trem block. I dropped the entire tremolo down at the 2 points here. I just Allen wrenched that down about maybe one whole turn to drop the overall height. And the other thing that I had to do where the trem block was concerned was I had to get inside the back there, and I had to loosen the spring, the screws that hold the spring plate. There are 3 springs still attached here. Rather than remove one of the springs, what I did was I messed around with the screwdriver to see how much meat I had in those 2 anchor screws up in here. And I backed them off about 1/4 of an inch. And I still had plenty of grip left. I wasn't in danger of tearing the wood out. And when I did that, this bridge began to float. I didn't realize till after I'd made the first part of the video that the bottom of the bridge here was leaning right on the wood because the springs were too strong inside. They were pulling it back all the way. In other words, when I took my whammy bar here and pulled up on it, it just stopped. Nothing happened. It was already sitting on the finish. Not a good idea. So I went in and loosened those 2 anchor screws until it began to float freely. And now, it's no longer resting on the finish. I can pull up on it as well as push down. Still works perfectly well. So I had to put a bit of relief in the neck to keep most of those frets from that tiny microscopic tone robbing buzz that most guitars actually have. I tried to keep that to a minimum, so it is at minimum, but not completely gone. If I hit it kind of hard, you know, you can make it kind of buzz a little bit. I went looking for any tone robbing loose piece of hardware. These springs at the bottom of the saddles here, nope, they were fine. The saddle screws, the set screws on the saddles, they were all snug. I didn't change them, I didn't move them, because they are at radius right now. I didn't want to mess with them. So I just made sure they were snug. None of them were rattling. I hit the body with Canuba wax. Can you see? Brazilian white Canuba wax has several different benefits to it. Number one, that shine, you can't touch it. You can't get that shine. I've tried all the products there are. There are some that'll come close. Nothing does a better job than Brazilian white Canuba wax paste. I don't remember the brand that I bought, but you can get it in a pretty sizable bottle. You squeeze it out like toothpaste. Apply it all over. Well, you know, do one piece, one part of one facet at a time, like the front or the back or the sides. Don't do them all at the same time because you won't be able to handle it. I started at the back, and that's the result I got. You apply it so it's just a film, not a paste, just a film. I did it such that the sunlight of the window in my workbench there, I could look down it and see where the wax was sitting. It wasn't, you know, if I looked at it in regular room light, I could not see where the wax was applied. So I did it under the sun, not in direct sunlight, just using the reflected light of the clouds, and applied it. Let it sit about 15 minutes and took a real clean cotton rag, real clean, and just wiped it off. You don't even have to scrub it in. Once that film dries, you can see it gets kind of, you know, it gets a little bit whitish looking. When you wipe that off, what's left underneath it is this. You know, it's just, it's amazing. Carnauba wax, the first Carnauba wax, the first benefit that it has, of course, is the shine that it does give you. The second benefit, which is kind of unexpected, is it smells good. It just smells nice. It has a sort of an organic, natural, non-chemical smell to it. It's quite pleasant. It smells, I don't want to say it smells herbal, but it does smell like a plant-based something. It's just nice. It's like a natural wood perfume. I don't know how to put it. That's benefit number 2. And benefit number 3, which may be the most important for busy guitar players, is that it tends to make it resist fingerprints. Once you've applied Canuba wax on there, you play it a little bit, look at it, you expect to see your hand marks all over it, like you normally would see on any guitar. Canuba wax minimizes that to the point where just a little slight wipe with that same clean rag will get rid of those handprints like nothing. And it doesn't even collect that many. So that's where this sits right now. So right now, I guess what I'm trying to say is, this guitar is as beautiful as it can be. Look at, I want you to look again. Look at the name. Look at the model name. It's a Soundcaster. Whereas in the back, although upside down, it says Soundcaster. I'm hoping that little typo there might actually give this thing some kind of unique value in the future. Probably not, but, you know, it's just a cool thing to think. Oh yeah, you have one of those original Soundcasters that they did. So now I'm going to get to the part where I actually show you the tone of this guitar through my Monoprice Stage Right 15-watt tube amp, which is the truest representation of tone of any amp that I have. I don't care how big they are. I don't care how powerful, how many, you know, modifications they've had. I don't care what kind of speaker they've got in them. You know, none of that bullshit. This thing right here, the way I have it right now, is the truest tone representation. Clean, clean, clean. Or if you want to put some natural distortion in, just crank up the gain. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you this guitar through this amp. I promise I won't make it too long. But amp is on. Everything is nooned. Okay? This is the bridge humbucker. That's the humbucker in humbucking mode. Let me now split the coil. Cutting the coil makes that humbucker into a single coil, and this is it by itself. That's the split coil. Now, pushing that humbucker back to humbucking and going to position 2. You can kind of hear that little tiny bit of fret buzz, especially on those notes. Here's the middle pickup, the middle single coil by itself. Oops. Wow. Okay, position 4, which is a blend of the middle and the neck single coils. You lose all the bite in that position, but that's kind of the point of it. You know, that's a... It's kind of your sweet background washy chord setting. And then there is the neck position single coil by itself. That's it. Promised I wouldn't make it too long. But that is what this guitar sounds like in its original, stock, pristine form, with a couple of tweaks made to it to just make more sense, probably. The way the pickups were mounted. The set of the neck, I didn't have to do much to that neck at all, really. And those frets are beautifully polished right out of the box. I just hit them with a Dremel with a, little fuzzy tip there and a little bit of metal polish just to put a little extra mirror on them. It didn't change them much. They didn't really need it. They didn't need it. So that is the beauty and functionality of this Leo James Sudencaster. It is the ST Pro, either HSS or SSH, whichever way you want to express it. And it is available on Amazon. Comes from Leo James. Leo James, who is still, I think, in the process of experimenting with their builds and designs and getting better all the time. They're coming up with stuff that, again, you'll hear everybody on YouTube say it. The big brand names can't give you this quality anywhere near this price range. I did pay $199 for this guitar. That did come with a little flaw, you know, that little crack at the base of the neck, which I've been watching like a hawk while I work on it, and has not done anything. Gotta hit the inside of this horn right here. I forgot to wipe the canoe wax off that. There you go. Inside of the horn is now as shiny as the rest of the guitar. But yeah, that crack, it's not moving. I don't think it's going to move. I think it's just in the finish. It's a particularly brittle outside clear enamel finish that they seem to use on everything. Like I said, my Leo James Les Paul copy has the exact same crack in the exact same place. But I think it also speaks to how they ship them, because neither one of those guitars came with particularly good neck support, not at all. One really good hit at the top of the head here, you know, the top of the neck near the headstock, one good pressure hit in the little box that this came in could have caused that to happen. It'd have to be a hell of a hit, though, because the compression of the set, you know, the neck screws is pretty strong, and that plate is pretty good, and it's really in there, good and hard, in really good hard roasted maple wood. So that's, I think, what saved its life, is the fact that the wood is so good. And I will tell you, the wood of this guitar, including that top, man, you can't beat that. You just can't beat it. It's the best. If I had bought a $5,000 guitar, I would expect the wood of the neck, body, and top to be no better than this. So that's it. That's my review. It is a 2025 model that I bought at the end of 2025 of the Leo Jaymz ST Pro HSS. Mine is the violet burl color. There are several beautiful colors. I think I did get the very last one in this configuration that Amazon had at the time. They may get more like this in, but there are double humbucker versions that are on there in, I mean, breathtaking colors. So get on Amazon the ST Pro Soundcaster has different variations, and I think you'll find one you'll really like. And the prices on most of them are around, well, I think the price on basically all of them right now is $209. You know, not including shipping and tax. So if for $209, if you get something this good, you've gotten yourself a great deal. So that's it. I'm just gonna leave it right there. Thanks for watching my latest video, and I will catch you guys on the next one.